Question, please.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Brad. Thank you, Ashland University and the Ashbrook Center for hosting this debate. Thank you most of all to all of you for coming. This is democracy made real. When I think about the path that led me here to this stage tonight, I think about my time as a Navy pilot. I think about my heritage as a proud Ohioan. I think most of all about my 3 children. My middle daughter, Lizzie, was born with a pre-existing condition. One of the reasons I'm running is for her. She needed 4 surgeries before she turned 4 years old. And Anne Marie and I scheduled that first surgery not knowing how we would pay for it. Let me tell you, there's no fear quite like leaving an infant on an operating table and retreating to the waiting room and having all of that worry and concern about how that procedure is going to go, and having added to that the paralyzing fear that that decision is going to bankrupt your family. Now, thank God I was able to find a good job, a tough job, but a good job here in Ohio that paid for that surgery and for the next 3. But millions of Americans aren't so lucky. 4.8 million Ohioans have a pre-existing condition. And we have a representative who has voted 13 times to gut protections for families like ours with a loved one with a pre-existing condition. Now, I'm going to let you in on a secret. Congressman Gibbs is going to tell you that he cares about people with pre-existing conditions. He's going to tell you that he has always voted to take care of them. I want you to be ready for him to say it, because it is simply not true. Between 2007 and 2011, Congressman Gibbs voted 13 times to gut protections for pre-existing conditions. To prove it, I have given a list of those 13 votes to every member of the media in this room. I have asked my team to post that same list of 13 votes on Twitter and Facebook. So when Congressman Gibbs starts talking about health care, when he starts talking about pre-existing conditions, when he throws out the MacArthur Amendment smokescreen, I want you to think about my little girl, Lizzie. I want you to think about the loved ones in your family with a pre-existing condition. And I want you to think about a congressman who says one thing to us in Ohio and then goes to Washington, D.C. and votes to take away our health care. It is time to send a new generation of leaders to Washington who mean what they say, who fight for health care, for our jobs, and for our country. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's great to see such a great turnout. I also want to thank my opponent for his service to our country and all the veterans that are here. I always remember that, the service they've done and the family sacrifices. You know, this midterm election is really about results versus resistance. We did a common sense regulatory reform bill, a tax cuts and jobs bill. And the result is we have a booming economy by every metric. Lowest unemployment in nearly 50 years, 4 million new jobs in the last year and a half, 500,000 good paying manufacturing jobs. African American, Hispanic, 18 to 34-year-olds, women, teenagers, the lowest unemployment on record. We have a 3.5% and higher annual GDP growth. There's more jobs and job seekers. When I travel out through the district and meet with businesses, their biggest challenge right now is finding help. I guess that's a great thing if you're looking for a job. Real wage compensation has grown 1.4% over the past year after accounting for inflation. Just recently saw a consumer spending report. Unexpectedly, consumer spending rose 4%. That means more money, people got more money in their pocket. We're rebuilding our national defense after Obama's disastrous sequester. We reformed our VA administration and providing resources to ensure our vets get the help and they deserve in a timely fashion and an appropriate fashion. The world is safer when America has a strong economy and providing resources to support our brave men and women in uniform with the best equipment and best and most sophisticated weapon systems. This Congress and the House passed without Democratic support a bill to lower health care costs and protect pre-existing conditions, contrary to what my opponent just said. Questions in this election: do we want to go back to where we were when President Obama said the new norm is less than 2% growth, or at best, less opportunities? If the Democrats take over what they said they'd take over, what they would do? They would hold impeachment hearings for Justice Kavanaugh and President Trump. Repeal your tax cuts, abolish ICE, open borders, and protect and fund sanctuary cities. All when we just learned today, a third caravan is mounting in Honduras and Guatemala to come up to our border, our third caravan. This is really about socialism versus America. Case in point, the majority of the Democratic caucus supports a plan to enforce Americans to abandon their employer-provided health care and put everyone in a government-controlled health care program, a single-payer government takeover of health care that costs $32 trillion, would require income taxes to double and ends Medicare as we know it. Simply put, the Democrats continue their agenda of resistance and obstruction, unwilling to work with us in tax reform, regulatory reform, immigration reform, and welfare to work initiatives. My opponent says he's not going to be withholding anybody, but we'll get talking later about where all his monies come from the liberals out west. And we cannot allow the liberals and Hollywood elites to buy the seat in the heartland of America.